right today. I am. I had a meeting, a beautiful meeting that I went to. Beautiful meeting that I had today with my brother, Mr. Willie Jackson. We had a great time talking about the Black community and talking about the needs of our people. I wish I had some water because clearly my voice is not prepared for what I'm trying to do today. So, what I'm going to do is try to speak up so that you can hear me. And I want you guys to, just interact with me. So, what we're talking about today is going to be something that it can be offensive. Okay, it can be pretty offensive. So, I'm going to preface the discussion with that. Is that it could be offensive what I have to say to people who don't enjoy melanin in their skin. So I'm just gonna say that and leave it there. Okay, you may not enjoy this conversation if you don't have any melanin. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So one of the things that is going on, okay, in our atmosphere is something called the poles. Okay, the Earth operates on a universal law of polarity. And I want you to understand that polarity is a natural byproduct. Yes, Mambo sauce is getting ready to get, it's about to get shaky up in here for real. But I want you to understand that, like I said, polarity is a natural byproduct of us being binary, or us being on this planet as binary beings. I talked to you a lot about the fact that inside of your head, inside of your cranium, your skull, there is what's called a quantum computer. Now, quantum computers are extremely special because they have the ability to factor in variables that are determined by the computer itself. So essentially, your quantum computer, it computes things without interference or without information being put into it. And so I want you to understand about your quantum computer is that you have different versions of a quantum computer. There are artificial quantum computers, and there are also organic quantum computers. An organic quantum computer is inside of your head. It's your brain. Okay. But you have people in different places like MIT and different government organizations who are spending billions of dollars to create artificial quantum computers or artificial brains in which certain things can manifest and can happen without interference. The artificial quantum computer uses what we know as artificial intelligence to create its operations every day. Artificial intelligence can be a very good thing, but it can also be a very dangerous thing. And so, what I want to say is, on this planet, because we operate with our quantum computers, with binary codes, understand that every time you make a decision, you are using your quantum computer in binary mode. Okay? Binary simply means dual, twofold, off and on, up and down, in and out, black and white, binary. You only have two positions in which you can use or enter data into this quantum computer. And that's very simply how you make decisions. Your quantum computer takes in information from your environment, your natural environment, from its research and its memory and its, processors. And it uses this computing power to make decisions based on everything that it knows, based on everything that it's experienced, based on everything that it's ever had as an input. Then it will produce a decision as an output on a binary system, yes or no, accept or reject. Okay? So because of this binary operation of our organic quantum computers, we have what's called polarity. And in this universe, polarity, it happens on a scale, like a sliding scale. Let's just say this is a scale of freedom versus bondage. You have freedom on this side, and you have bondage on that side. I have to hold this up. I'm sorry, you guys. Let's say that you have freedom over here, and you have bondage over here. This would be a sliding scale, okay, of polarity. Because on both sides of this, you have opposite ends of a spectrum. And maybe I should call it that. Not a scale, but a spectrum. And this pin being the spectrum, with freedom on this end of the spectrum and complete bondage on this end of the spectrum. This is where you have all of your sort of decisions that you're making. This is how polarity begins to happen. It's because as humans, we can exist anywhere on this scale for anything. Let's just say there's hot on this end and cold over here. Let's just say there's up on this end and there's down over here. Everything has its equal opposite because we live in a binary universe that has balance. And because we are unique individuals, every polar opposite that exists, we as humans can exist anywhere on that spectrum in between those two poles, okay? Between those two poles. So understanding this, I want you to go a step further and start to think about social trends. Start to think about what religion used to be for our community. Whereas we used to, exactly, duality is another way to put that, Romaine. Duality is a great word for it. But think about what religion used to be. Religion operates on a spectrum itself where you have facts on one end and then you have beliefs on the other end of the spectrum. And so for us, we've always existed somewhere in here, which I'm going to call faith, okay? On one end, you have fact. On one end, you have fiction. In between, you have faith, okay? And this is just my demonstration of what I'm understanding about our social trends and how we're moving out here. Okay. We used to be okay with faith, this spectrum between fact and fiction. Okay? Nowadays, what's happening is we are now polarizing. Have you ever seen cell division happen? Where you used to have one cell, one nucleus, but it begins to split and you see this starting to happen. You see this motion where there's a polarization. Those two cells split off into two nuclei, and you see that all of the materials that were in there cohabitating together somewhere on this middle spectrum, all going together, they begin to identify with one end of the spectrum or the other, and they start to split apart like this into two separate entities on one end or the other of the spectrum. You have this binary creation that came out of one. I'm going to tie this in together because it's kind of abstract. In our culture, we used to be okay with not really understanding what religion was talking about. There were a lot of mysteries in religion where we were like, okay, some things I'm not going to understand. Lean not on your own understanding. Don't question God. There was a lot of gray area on this spectrum where we were just somewhere floating in the middle, not necessarily knowing facts, but not necessarily being completely ignorant. We were somewhere in the middle. But according to social trends, you ever see everybody talk about facts? Where are the facts? Pull the receipts. Nowadays, we're not okay with the middle ground. We're polarizing. We're moving to one end of the spectrum where we expect facts to be included in the mix. Why is this? Because we're at a turning point culturally where we have to start making some very hard binary decisions, which is really the only thing that we are capable of making. When you make a decision or an agreement with the universe, now you know that's another part of the functioning of the universe is that you have to make agreements. Everything that happens in your universe, inside of your personal life, so to speak, that's your universe. You must make agreements with the universe, and you must do that on a binary, polar opposite scale. So we used to say, okay, I'm not gonna question that. I'm just gonna have faith. But nowadays, no. The polarity is starting to put on our collective consciousness, where everybody, all of us, we no longer want to be in a state of ignorance. And this is why I named this episode Polarity for Purification. Because what's happening now is because we're realizing that we're sick in the mind, we have to treat ourselves. And we know the only way to treat ourselves or to provide ourselves with an ointment or a balm for our illness in the mind is for us to have truth, for us to deal with facts only. Not knowing is not good enough for us anymore. And I believe it's a beautiful thing, but I want us to understand why that's happening in the spirit. Why are we no longer okay with being ignorant? Why are we no longer okay with not having the facts? Why are we no longer okay with not having those receipts where I can go back and see exactly what it is you're talking about? What are you getting at? Where did you get that from? Who gave you that? And why are you giving it to me? Okay. So at this point, because we're now becoming polarized as a community of people, separating ourselves, fact from fiction, okay, the truth from the lie, we're becoming healed. And I want you to understand that that's not by mistake, okay? Our collective consciousness recognizes that something is wrong here. Our collective consciousness recognizes that we must separate. The Bible tells you that you have to be set apart if you're going to serve for the kingdom of your mind. The kingdom of God is the kingdom of your mind, where you reign supreme as the co-creator with your source, which is God. That's what I'm going to call it for the sake of this conversation. If you are going to serve yourself as a living, godly being, you must do that without playing both sides of the fence. You must do that without being lukewarm, which is what the Bible refers to it as. Not being a lukewarm believer. Not being somewhere in the middle of this spectrum. That's no longer acceptable. On every spectrum of your life, you need to be on one side or the other. You need to have a definite understanding of why you're where you are on this spectrum. Are you fully in the truth, or are you dealing some kind of with a lie? Okay? Are you fully satisfied, or are you unsatisfied, dissatisfied? What's really going on inside of this universe? Because on the spectrum, the gray area is no longer acceptable. The earth is home for us to make a decision, for us to say, either I'm going to live in harmony with my body, with my mind, with my spirit, with my brother, with my sister. If I'm going to live in harmony with all of that, I shall live and I shall have life abundantly, because that's what the spirit calls for. If I choose to be on the other end of this spectrum, in the polarization of this planet, I don't know if you know anything scientifically about the polar shifts. First of all, the planet is nothing but a huge iteration, a huge version of our spirit body and our physical body. The earth, soil, the grass, the leaves on the trees, they're all made of the same compounds, the same atomic structure, okay? The same cellular, well, I could say cellular operation, because we're photosynthetic like plants are. So you can say that this earth is nothing but a grand human body. It's a big celestial body. And Because of that, we have to live in harmony with all these things. We have to understand that the same way the earth has poles, a north and a south pole, polarity, okay? The polarization is now occurring where, and like I said, I don't know if you know scientifically about the polar shift, but you can read about that. The earth is shifting its polar position. The North Pole no longer sits where it used to sit because those things are shifting now. Our consciousness is raising so that we can now move from the gray area of this spectrum. We need to either go on one side or the other. It's either going to be it's either going to be life or death, okay? It's either going to be progression or destruction. And we have to understand that there is no in between because our binary, I should say it that way. Our binary organic quantum computers only understand binary language. They can only operate using binary language. The gray area in the middle is not comprehensive to the brain. Being in the middle is not acceptable. There is a side that must be chosen. There is a purpose for that because purpose is what you're after. If you're in the middle, constantly confused, indecisive, so to speak, about your direction, about your purpose, about your will, about your intention, somewhere in the middle of this spectrum between knowing and unknowing, okay, intelligence and ignorance, if you're somewhere in the middle of this, the earth is not going to tolerate that. The universe, you, will experience continual dysfunction if you're not able to get down with the get down of polarization. Polarization is for purification, okay? Now hear me out. Once you're able to recognize that polarization is occurring and you have two different identifiable, let's say you have two different identifiable things, okay, that have now come out of this spectrum. On one end, you've got this black color. On this end, you've got red. Now, if you drop the middleman, all you've got is a binary decision, yes or no. There is no more confusion. This in the middle would represent your confusion, okay? You have no more confusion. Once you've made a decision, you've allowed yourself to polarize, okay? Now you have your decision. Either it's going to be black or it's going to be red. Either it's going to be yes or it's going to be no. Either it's going to be up or it's going to be down. You're only capable of interpreting binary coding inside of your organic quantum computer. The only thing you can put into the computer is yes or no. Now, it's very interesting because with this quantum computer, this organic quantum computer, like I said before, you're making these yes or no decisions based on the totality of your human experience, based on the totality of your knowledge on this planet as a human being. And that's the reason why you're so special as a person, because the only thing that you're the only thing that you're able to make a decision on are those things that you've experienced. And when you're making these decisions, you're not just making them for yourself. You're making these decisions for everybody around you. You're making the decisions for everybody that's in your universe, in your life. Because sometimes you're making a decision to act a certain way. Sometimes you're making a decision to treat people a certain way. Sometimes you're agreeing to do certain things. Sometimes you're agreeing with the universe to speak a certain way. You're agreeing with the universe to walk a certain path. Okay, now when you have agreed with the universe to walk a certain path, that path affects everybody that you pass along it. This is the reason why we must collectively be conscious enough to live in harmony with the planet, with our bodies, with our minds, with our brothers, with our sisters, with our children, with our career. We have to be in harmony, because when you agree and say, yes, I will walk that path. Yes, I will work that job. Yes, I will promote this message. Yes, I will repost that post. Yes, I will teach this lesson. These are agreements. Or if you refuse the agreement and you say, no, I won't give that message. I won't touch that brother. I won't help that sister. I won't. When you are polarized, the only thing you're doing is saying yes or no. But you're saying yes or no to all things. You're saying yes or no to dimensional things, where you have to decide whether or not your yes or your no is going to be in the way of life or in the way of death. This polar decision, this polarity. And so when you choose things that are compatible with life, this is how the universe how the universe identifies you. If you are edifying the planet by edifying its inhabitants, by edifying the planet body or the celestial body, which is keeping the planet clean, not having a high footprint in the atmosphere, recycling, when you're in harmony, not overly taking the resources from the planet, not harming the inhabitants of the planet, when you're living in harmony, the universe at large, the planet at large can identify you. Do you understand? When you're doing the opposite, when you're living in destruction, in dysfunction, and confusion, when you're killing everything that you come in contact with, when you're destroying people's mentality, when you are negative in everything that you do, when your thought processes don't allow you to progress, or when your thought processes don't allow you to evolve or grow, when you're dead, so to speak, just the way the universe can identify you in life, the universe can now identify you in death. When you're polarized, when you are polarized, you become easily identifiable. And the planet can now decide what it wants to do with you. This is the reason why Caucasians have a negative birth rate, because they've now been identified by the planet as a virus. Caucasians cannot live in complete harmony with the planet naturally, because they are not natural humans. They're not naturally occurring in this universe. They don't naturally occur. Like if you were to go out in the field and pick a wild flower, it naturally occurs on the planet. It comes out of natural evolution of things. Caucasians do not exist naturally. They were artificially intelligent creations that came out of naturally organic, intelligent beings. Okay. And so now that we are shifting, okay, there's a shift going on in the universe where the planet is shifting its polarity, where the planet is no longer accepting artificial beings. The planet is no longer accepting the middle ground. Do you understand? In this sense, or on the spectrum where the planet is right now, the planet is either you're real or you're fake. And because Caucasians are fake humans, this is, like I said, the reason why they have a negative birth rate. They're being weeded out. And the planet is purifying because it is able to polarize. It's able to say, I only want the real out of this spectrum. And because I'm no longer accepting middle ground, I'm no longer accepting lukewarm, I'm no longer accepting half-ass, I'm no longer accepting maybe, I'm no longer accepting kind of, I'm no longer accepting no receipts. Okay, I need you to be real. I need facts. I need your existence to be factual. and not an artificial creation of somebody's imagination. And this is what Caucasians are. So, because this polarity is happening in the planet, we have to understand that we are no different. Just because we have melanin does not guarantee us a spot on the real. Okay? If you are walking around with plastic body parts, if you are walking around consuming artificial ingredients, or what I'm going to call artificial intelligence, if you are consuming artificial anything, then the planet knows that's what you are becoming. If you are consuming something, you are exuding that same thing. Okay? And so if you're going to be on the fake end of the spectrum, you will be weeded out. Melanin or not. Okay? Melanin or not, you will be weeded out. Because the planet now understands that the artificial intelligence that exists on this planet, not in the form of our brains' intelligence, the intelligence of our organic quantum computers, it recognizes that this artificial intelligence that's not really compatible with the planet's program. Okay, understand that this planet works on an operating system. We are all computers that have natural Wi-Fi called consciousness. And because of that Wi-Fi, okay, we're able to connect and communicate using technology, natural technology. We also use artificial technology, which exists in the form of our devices, which is fine. But now that we are being greedy about it, and the Caucasians are out there trying to build brains, aka building quantum computers, artificial ones, not organic ones, they are now starting to threaten what it means to be artificially intelligent. Because artificial intelligence, and if you ask Elon Musk, he'll tell you, it can be like summoning a demon when you have gifted this artificial being with heightened levels of intelligence that are artificial. Because this artificial computer does not have chakras. It doesn't have the ability to process emotional intelligence. Now, you have organic intelligence with your organic computer. You have artificial intelligence with your artificial computer, but you have emotional intelligence that is compatible with your chakra system, and that's the spiritual intelligence. Okay. Spiritual intelligence is a real thing, and that's what's a part of what's going on here. And that's a part of what's missing. Humanity has lost emotional intelligence, coupling with our organic or artificial intelligence. The other component of emotional intelligence must be introduced. And because computers don't have the ability, artificial computers don't have the ability to do that, they become dangerous. Because when you have intelligence without a soul, you have a demon. That is the physical manifestation of the Caucasian. Did you hear what I said? I'm going to run it back. When you have artificial intelligence without emotional intelligence, hear me loud and clear. When you have intelligence without a soul, you have the Antichrist. You have destruction. You have death. Because all that intelligence without a soul to direct it is faulty. It's inconclusive. It's somewhere in the gray of what is and what ain't. Because if you have intelligence over here, but no emotion, no soul for that polarity, for that balance of polarity. That's why polarity exists. It's for balance. If all I have is this over here, I'm heavy on one side. I need a balance. Okay. And that's another part of this universal code is that we must have balance. Okay. But when you have that artificial intelligence and it's not coupled with emotional intelligence, you lose your balance and there is dysfunction. There is negativity. There is your Satan or your Antichrist, so to speak. There is your root chakra, but not your crown. Okay. I hope this is making sense to you guys. But what I want you to understand is that the reason why we're so at odds in our social structure right now is because we're in the middle of this polarization. We're in the middle of this separation where everybody is coming up apart. Either you're for knowledge and you're for intelligence, organic intelligence, emotional intelligence, or you're for ignorance. You don't care about the receipts. You don't care about the facts. You don't care about being real. You just care about the show. Okay? We have to understand that this is healthy. It seems like we're pitted against each other. It seems like we are fighting. But what's happening is we're identifying ourselves. We're separating on this polarity, on this spectrum of real and fake. We're polarizing so that we can identify ourselves. Now, when I'm out in my, environment, I'm always looking for the spirit of a thing. Is it real or is it fake? What is it? How is it coming off? Is it positive? Is it negative? Because I'm making binary decisions here on what part of the spectrum it needs to go on inside of my universe. If you give me the truth, I will take it and put it on the truth end of the spectrum. Because that's where I want to go as far as my polarity is concerned. My duality exists in favor of truth. And so when we are seeking out each other in public, it might seem like we're against each other. That divide and conquer. Trust and believe that Caucasians are not the only ones who are up to a divide and conquer tactic. The universe is also dividing and conquering. Do you hear me? The universe also divides and conquers as it pleases. The same way they want to do with us, they're also being divided and conquered naturally. And that's the reason why I love this planet. I love this universe, because these Caucasians cannot fuck with us. Do you hear me? This is a natural occurrence, this polarity. This is a natural occurrence that we are being separated, real from fake, intelligent from ignorant. Whether you black or white, it doesn't matter. Color doesn't matter. What the universe is interested in is how real you are. Excuse me. The planet itself is interested in this whole divide and conquer game. Because what it's going to do, everybody, I don't care what color you are, everybody who is out here for the destruction of man and or for the destruction of themselves, they will be polarized. And once they are identified on one end of the spectrum, they will be dealt with accordingly. Naturally. All these cancers coming out of nowhere, all these cancer cases and all these things going on the inside of the body, that's natural polarity. All of these entities and forces and powers being exposed for their underhanded dealings, everything done in the darkness coming now to light. It's happening naturally. Natural polarization. Why is that happening? Because we have to identify the enemy. And the enemy is negativity. The enemy is the antithesis to our evolution in health. Okay? We are looking for functionality out of the mind, body, and spirit. Anything that is dysfunctional inside of the mind, body, and spirit, it will be polarized away from what is functional. We have to know that what we're doing works. Excuse me. And because of that, the planet is helping us by weeding out the weak, so to speak. If you are consuming fake food, your body is going to weed you out naturally because you're dysfunctional in the body. If you are harboring negative thoughts, you will be weeded out from success naturally because your body cannot, or your mind cannot process functionality. Naturally, you won't exist in a state of health and abundance in life. You'll become dead naturally because you have not polarized yourself in such a way that you can be counted. Don't you want to be in that number? Oh, I want to be in that number. You will never be in that number until you have been able to get down with the get down. We are about truth. We are part of a spiritual community. We are a part of a spiritual community that only recognizes life as a part of this operating system when it comes to evolution. That's the reason why the Bible will tell you that you have favor when you live in functionality with the planet. When you live in harmony with the planet, you have favor. Because what's happening is the planet, like I said, is nothing but a big version of a human being called a celestial body. The reason why is because the planet wants to live. The same way all the cells in your body fight for life every day, that you consume toxic food, or you consume toxic whatever. Your body and the cells inside of your body want to live. It wants to keep you alive. That's the reason why your cells regenerate. That's the reason why your cells will attack toxins. That's the reason why your body has an immune system. Because it wants to be immune to the destruction that you are causing it every day. It wants to live. But we're at a point right now where if you're constantly destroying, constantly tearing down, constantly being a negative force against yourself, against your personal physical body, mind, and spirit, the planet cannot deal with you. Because the planet, first of all, you are a cell inside of this big celestial being's body, the earth. You are an individual cell on this planet. And the more you destroy yourself as an individual cell, you are also destroying the planet. And because the planet wants to live, the planet can only live off of your energy. The planet can only live off of your action. The planet can only live off of your life. The life cycle of every cell in your body is what gives you life and keeps you going every day. If your brain cells didn't function, guess what? You'd be dead. If your skin cells didn't function, guess what? You'd be sick and then dead. You understand what I'm saying to you? If your lung cells didn't function, you'd be dead. You are an individual cell inside of this body called the earth. And if you don't function the way you should in health, you're killing this planet. The planet wants to live, y'all. She's sick. And guess what is the illness? It's us. It's our minds. And it's us living on the wrong end of the spectrum. In death and destruction, where we are destroying our damn selves. We're destroying ourselves. And in turn, we're destroying the planet. That's why she's getting rid of us. That's why we're getting cancer and dying. That's why the sun is getting rid of them Caucasians. That's why we need receipts and facts. And we're looking at the back of the labels to see what's in this now. I need to see the facts of what am I consuming. What am I putting in my mind? What am I putting in my body? What kind of regeneration am I allowing my cells to execute with the nutrition that I'm giving to my mind, my body, and my spirit? How am I regenerating on this planet? Am I giving the planet life, or am I giving her death? As a binary being, she cannot process anything other than those two things. As a binary being, this planet, she cannot tell anything in between in the spectrum. She's going to only recognize and accept positivity. She's only going to recognize and accept life. Why she wants to live. Anything that is on her body, anything that is inside of her consciousness, her mind, collective consciousness, you guys, anything that's inside of this planet's mind, her consciousness, if it is not healthy to her, she's going to kill it. The same way, whatever is in your mind, any thoughts that are negative to what you're trying to accomplish in your life, in your universe, on your planet, which is your body. Hear me. If you feel something sick, you want that virus dead immediately so that you can feel better, so that you can live, so that you can have peace, so that you can have functionality, so that you can have comfort, quality of life, abundance, balance. The planet, our Mother Earth, she's no different. I am her, so I'm speaking on her behalf right now. She needs a cleanse. And if you're not going to help her cleanse, she's going to kill you. Your energy will be dead to her because she wants to live. And if you are destroying her, I hate it for you, because she is all powerful, whether you know it or not. If you're not consuming her vegetation, which is all powerful, giving you her nutrition, giving you her information, eating plants and the information that comes out of plants is like breastfeeding from the milk of your mother, which holds data and information for your genetic development. Eating vegetation from the planet is like breastfeeding from your mother, which feeds your mind, body, and spirit. If you're consuming toxic, artificial breast milk, don't expect to get the life and abundance out of that. Don't expect to thrive in your mind, in your spirit. Don't expect to have a quality of life that's only supported by life, by health, by harmony and balance with this universe. Okay? You are a part of a natural order. It doesn't require anything additive. You don't need additives. You don't need artificial intelligence, because you come equipped already with binary intelligence. Like I said, we are binary beings. You have the intelligence of your binary mind, of your organic computer, your organic quantum computer. You have the intelligence of logic, but you also have the intelligence of your chakra emotional intelligence. And when you're able to marry those two together, the mind with the heart, life is what is produced from that union. Life is what comes forth. You bring life to the planet when you bring life to yourself, when you utilize the intelligence that the planet gave to you naturally from your mother. When you were formed in your mother's womb, you inherited the kingdom. You inherited the intelligence. The kingdom of your mind is where your abundance is. And if you are not living in harmony, in balance with these two things that you were blessed with, endowed with from birth, inherited now. If you're not living in harmony, utilizing that inheritance, walking as if you understand that that inheritance is yours, your intelligence belongs to you. Only you are capable of developing that. Only you are capable of using it. Okay? If you're not living with it, you will die. I am trying to tell you, you will die a slow, spiritual death, and then soon after that, a physical death. You only get this one life, and death is guaranteed. If you're not living in harmony with this life, trust me, death will become you very soon. Sooner than you might think. And I'm not saying that to be scary or anything, because death is a part of life. And truly, if you're dying in a healthy way, you should be dying every day in order for you to function in health with this universe. Death is cyclical. Death gives as it receives. Yeah, death will take your life, but it will also give you room for new life and growth. Do you understand what happens when you die in the spirit, not in the physical? When your spirit dies, that's the old you. That's the darkness that gives way to the light. That's death. You must cherish that. But just know how to die, okay? Know how to die. Don't die incorrectly, because if you're destructively dying, death has a purpose. If you are destructively dying, you don't come back from that. Your energy dies and that's it. You're just dead. Useless. Nobody can do anything with you. And now, trust and believe me, you can be walking around on this planet with breathing air and speaking words and looking at people and everything else and be actually dead. You can do that. God forbid that you actually physically die and you're no longer here anymore. But if you're dying destructively, you don't come back. But when you die healthily, in a healthy way, you coming back. I'm in this thing. When I died yesterday, because I died yesterday on purpose. Yesterday, I killed myself. When I laid my eyes down to sleep, a part of me intentionally died. Why? Because I have to give way for the new me. I have to allow the new and improved version to emerge. I can't walk around in my old snake skin. I have to shed it, which is death. All that skin that came up off of me when I died, all that earth that returned into the universe when I died, all that energy, all that negative energy that died away from my spirit on yesterday, guess what came back in the form of new life? Positivity, a lesson learned, abundant life. Do you hear me? It came back in the form of new energy, positive energy, restored energy, resilient energy. Exactly. Come on, Javon, producer. This is what exfoliation is. This is purification. When you die in a healthy way, you're just exfoliating the dead skin off so that the new skin cells can bounce back and be more vibrant. Okay? You can get your suntan now. Scrub all that dead stuff away and count it as gone because it's no longer serving you. That's death, but it's beautiful. And you ought to love it. I want you to be cold-hearted to the old you. Because when it dies, I don't want you to miss it. When that negative energy falls off of you, I don't want you to miss it. I want you to be cold-hearted. I want you to look that damn old self in the eyes and be like, good riddance. I was tired of your black ass anyway. When that negativity falls off of you, embrace the new positive you with love, with acceptance. This is the new me. I don't identify with the dead parts of me any longer because I'm a binary being and I can't be on both sides of the spectrum. I can't be half dead and half alive. I can't do that. I can only be on one end of this spectrum and I choose life. So whatever dead parts of me, whatever dysfunction, whatever negativity, whatever disharmony, whatever dissatisfaction, whatever anger, whatever resentment, you understand, whatever resistance, I'm dropping it and killing it. It is now dead. I have no use for it. I don't like it. I don't want to see it. I don't care for it. If it's not a fact, if it's not real, if it's not true, I don't want it. It's dead to me because it doesn't serve me. The old skin that I was in, could you imagine if your body never shed dead skin, how much weight you'd be carrying around on your body if your skin never shed itself? How much weight would you be carrying around, having to tote around these big ass bags of dead skin on your body trying to live? If your hair never shed on top of your head, what kind of bush would you be walking around with? You got to be on this planet for years. You must die. You must contribute to the cycle of death. Do it in a healthy way. If you're going to do it, don't die in a way that's going to kill you. Die in a way that's going to bring you back. Die in a way that allows you to come back. Do you understand me? You must understand there's polarity here. And it's for the purpose of purification. It's for the purpose of you understanding that your death can occur twofold. Polarity, y'all. Your death can occur twofold. And what's going to happen to you is that if you don't choose the right kind of death on that spectrum of polarity, if you don't choose death in life, which sounds crazy, but it's a thing that I just explained. If you don't choose death in life or death for the purpose of life, because like I just told you, death has a purpose. Death, the purpose of death is to bring forth life. The purpose of darkness is to grow life. That's why you plant a seed in the darkness. That's why you are a seed of light. A seed goes into darkness for it to produce fruit, for it to produce its abundance. You must go through hell. Jesus went to hell to preach the gospel. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? This is written in the prophecy, y'all. Jesus went to darkness and he preached the word of light. He gave light in the midst of darkness. He preached to the deaf and he rose the dead bones and gave them life so that they were able to rise from the grave. Do you understand? This is in the Bible. There is a purpose for your death. If you miss it, that's your fault. If you miss it, that's because you wasn't paying attention. We are spiritual beings, not physical beings. So when you think about death, think about your spirit. Think about the death of your old self. You were created in darkness. That's right. Leonard, evolutionary, we were created in darkness in our mother's womb. There was no light. But when you came out, you were a seed, or you are a seed light. You had to grow there first before you could ever manifest onto this planet as the fruit of your mother's womb. I know y'all hear me. I know this is getting you. I know it's getting you. I know that it's getting you, okay? And I'm trying to tell you, when you recognize that your death has purpose, you will begin to love slaying things. You'll love killing shit. I love to kill some shit. I love to find stuff that I can just kill. In the spirit, though. I'm looking for stuff. I'm looking for stuff. That's okay, Javon, producer. This podcast is going to be published on my podcast. There's a link in my bio on SoundCloud. Okay, and it'll take you to the podcast, and I have it. This right here is recording everything I'm saying. So you'll see the playback on Instagram. You'll see the playback also available on Facebook if you didn't catch everything, and you can also play this back on SoundCloud. This goes into an archive after I'm done. This is the 34th episode, by the way. So all of you guys, if you go into my bio, click the link in my bio on Instagram for those people who are watching on Facebook right now. If you go to the link on my bio on Instagram, you'll find a link to my SoundCloud, and there are 34 episodes. Okay, this is the 34th. So I want you to go to that link and start following this podcast, because first of all, the stuff that I be saying surprises me. Okay. First of all, also I'm sweating. I often feel like a preacher. The only thing I'm missing is the huffing and puffing, because when I get to talking to y'all, y'all better understand that in the day there was the night. Yeah. ready to do it today, y'all? I'm serious. Okay, listen. Because I'm about to get silly, so I'm about to get off here because I'm about to get goofy. And I'm not going to get goofy with y'all. This is what I want you to take away from this. Polarity has purpose because what you need to do is identify yourself. When you are going about your life, I want you to be very aware and conscious of the fact that you must be on one end of the spectrum in order for this planet to identify and recognize you as a part of its program of life. Okay? We operate on an operating system. Excuse me. And our operating system is called life, which is composed of several systems. Okay? You have universal systems that are created for our life to be sustained. You have bodily systems that are existing inside of your body. I know that you realize the only reason why your body is able to function is because it is operating on a system of layered, it has a system of layered, a collection of layered systems. Lord, somebody please help me. Your body is able to function because it has a collection of layered systems that enable your body to operate. You have a nervous system. You have a circulatory system. You have a respiratory system. You have an endocrine system. You have what do you call this? A digestive system. Come on, you guys. We have systems all over the place inside of our body that allow us to work. The planet is no different. The planet has systems that operate like the system, which is called the law of attraction. On a universal scale, I would call it laws. The systems are equal to our laws, but we also have things like political systems, social systems, structures, that we put together that all contribute to our program of life that sustain us on this planet. And your body is no different. These things are relative and compatible with each other. So the more and more you understand that you must live in such a way that the operating system is compatible with the way you live your life. You should be living in harmony with the system of life. You should be living in harmony with the systems of your body. You should be living in harmony with the systems of this planet, because that's what the planet wants. The planet wants to live the same way you want to live. The same way the cells inside your body want to live. The earth wants to live consciously. It wants to live. The earth is very aware of what the hell we're doing. And because she's aware of what we're doing, we have to know that she's going to start acting on her own behalf. She's going to start acting in such a way that she can sustain her own life, her physical life. Because spiritually, the planet has been dead for a minute. But she's starting to wake up consciously because that's the reason why we're waking up consciously. She's starting to wake up to the fact that she's sick and dying. So she's waking up and starting to say, hold up. I'm getting weak. Something going on. I'm losing my life force. I'm losing my energy. The cells in my body, they're dying. The people, the energy up here, it's dying. It's going on the wrong end of the polar shift. We're going towards death instead of life, destruction instead of evolution. Do you understand? The earth is waking up. We shaking her up a little bit. She's starting to get jolted up out of her sleep. Like, hold the fuck up. What y'all doing? I'm dying. What are y'all doing? That's why she's waking up and starting to slay our asses. She's waking up and starting to kill that energy that she's getting. She recognizes negativity. She recognizes when you're killing her, when you're polluting her ocean, when you are taking and not giving from her, not allowing her to restore and replenish herself, overfishing in the water, spilling oil every damn where, messing up the natural resources. She's not ignorant. The planet knows what the hell we doing. And when she wake up, it's not going to be pretty. How would you be if you woke up and you saw your house in disarray? You saw somebody vandalizing everything that you created. How would you feel if you woke up in your house and your children were standing over you with a knife? You'd be ready to kill their ass because you're not going to let them take you. The earth don't care that we are children of her. She going to kill our asses if we trying to kill her. I'm going to close out because I'm about to time out, y'all. www.reeseroberts.com. You can find the links to all my social media. You can also listen to the podcast on that link, www.reeseroberts.com. I love y'all. Go in peace. What's it, please? Y'all leave me some comments and share the video, okay? Love you.